cold nose this morning, but a warm heart.
I was just going to say that, but such a warm heart, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you. I was waiting for someone. How was your week in Dallas? Looks like you had some fun.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. You know, whatever it is you're going to, once or twice a year, you need to get to one of these events. It just re-inspires you and energizes you, and you're around all these agents doing huge business. It expands your mind.
Right.
Phenomenal. For me,
hey, Sean, I was asking right before you got on, who's going to retreat on this call? I'm curious because I think you're exactly right. You got to get around people who have big thoughts and big business dreams.
So, show of hands, who's going to retreat in Texas?
Michelle.
Good.
Anyone else?
Only one or two.
So far,
anybody doing it? Is there a virtual for retreat?
Oh, look at that. I don't believe so. They may be taping these for episodes afterwards, but I don't think there's any like live streaming that I'm aware of.
You know, I don't know that there is either, but I'll text John on this call right now and just see if I can get an answer before you're done today.
Fantastic. Thank you. And let me encourage you guys again, these kind of events, one of the main takeaways, Steve, that I always I get from this is we can think, you know, we want to do great business. Oh, I want to do $1 million in GCI. But let's say the most you've done is 250. We want it, but it's not real yet. But then you go to one of these events, and the person sitting next to you is doing $1 million, and she's a single mom, and you're sitting there and you touch their shoulder, but don't get in trouble. Ask permission. But this is a real person.
Mm-hmm.
There's no different than me, and it immediately changes your perception of what's possible. Because someone on stage saying it is one thing. You and I saying it is one thing.
Right.
Sitting there next to a regular person just like you who's doing it, it completely changes your perception.
Right. You know, it's I can remember when I was a rookie agent and I went to my first awards banquet and I would see people go up and get their awards, and after working with them a year and finding out just how, as a human being, just how ordinary they were. Right.
Right.
So there's nothing special about special people. It's what they do, what they commit to, not who they are. And
exactly.
One of the things Sean and I were talking about for you guys on the call this morning was I thought it'd be hugely helpful for Sean to share some of his ahas and insights, because I think anytime I found myself at these kind of retreats, and to Sean's point, you know, you start to see this high-minded thinking that goes on. It doesn't have to, with any gathering, whether it's a Compass gathering of top producers or it's Brian Buffini or Tom Ferry or you name it. It's really inspiring. And so with that, I thought what we would do today, Sean, is just kind of share some of your biggest ahas and maybe even something that you didn't expect that you learned that could really impact some of the agents on the call today.
Absolutely. So I want to start where Tom started. He asked a question that kind of sent a shiver, you know, down your spine, but also set up the whole next 3 days was answering that question. And the question was this: what are you going to do when Zillow, Open Door, Quicken, which is the scariest of all of them, opens an office next to you? Because that's coming. What are you going to be doing to make sure your business is protected when they do that? That is a powerful question. And as Steve is always pointing out, that's that ask the clarifying question that puts everything in order and highlights what we need to do. So the shortcut answer was back to hyperlocal. We have to be the hyperlocal expert. We have to be the go-to agent in our farm, our sphere, our niche, because big companies can't move at that speed. They can't provide the things we provide. But we need to be providing them right now. We need to be absolutely known. Branded is the word we keep using. We need to be branded. By the way, an amazing, we had Seth Godin was our keynote speaker. And for those of you, most of you know who Seth Godin is. Listening to him talk it's like you can't write fast enough, right? And he made a really interesting point about what it made me think of that was the brand. He said there's logos and there's brands. A brand should tell you what the person's going to be about before they ever open their mouth. And he said, just for example, let's take Hilton and Nike. They both have logos. We're very aware of their logos. If Hilton decided to start making shoes, we would have no real idea what those shoes would be like, because Hilton has a logo, not a brand. If Nike decided to start building hotels, I got a pretty clear picture in my head of what those hotels would be like, the energy, the look, what the dynamics. Because Nike has a brand, not just a logo. We need to have brands, personal, very personal, unapologetically us brands.
Wow, that's huge. Yeah, I can totally relate to that statement.
Right? That's the 40,000 foot view of how we future-proof our business.
Yeah.
Now,
well, and to your point, Sean, and it just as coincidence, we were talking about who's going to Austin for Compass. Michelle Ozane's on this call. I just happened to drop in on her. It was Friday. She had a call with her MA, and I don't think she'd be too ashamed of me or upset that I would share this, but she was working through some testimonials that she had received, these really nice video testimonials. The one that stood out to me the most was the one that was sharing, coming from out of market. Michelle, and I want everyone to listen to this because this is huge. This customer was saying of hers, what they valued most was not only the friendship that was formed, but when she was talking about what made Michelle different, it seemed like everywhere we went, Michelle knew something about that place, and or the people recognized her. So we would walk into a store, we'd walk into a restaurant, wherever we'd go, oh, Michelle. And she goes, that peace of mind that gave me, that this really is a community that I can identify with and that Michelle really understands and knows. Think about that, right? That's what you're talking about. Like that is a brand. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that's that. I know you. I know her. I see her everywhere.
Huge.
We all need to create that. And they did a big study. They spent the last 2 months doing an MLS study. They took, I think, the 10 or 8 largest MLSs in the nation, and that's where they pulled this information from. And we've talked before, Steve, about the 80-20 principle, which in theory says that 20% of the agents should be doing 80% of the business. That's just how the 80-20 works. In real estate, it does not work, which is a problem because, first of all, it should. It's a natural law that occurs almost everywhere, but not in our industry. The top 1% of all agents do 17.2% of the business. The top 1%. 5% is 37.4% of the business. By the time you get to top 10%, it's over half of all business done in this country, just in the top 10%. We all need to know our rankings. Every agent, we've got to go look in the MLS. Here are 2 MLSs, unfortunately, but we have to go look and see what is our percentile. And we need to get in that top 20. Now, the nice thing is talking to Compass agents, right? Almost by definition, we don't have that problem because Compass only brings on producing really professional agents. But you still want to know this. It's something to start paying attention to. Because as this market gets squeezed, and Melanie came in and said, when we were talking about those iBuyers, and they're knocking in our market today, and they don't care how their interruption business model impacts your business.
No.
Not only do they don't care, but again, I'm not really talking to Compass agents here. But if you look at agents as a whole, what these big companies have done is said, oh my gosh, look at this. Look at how much, there's $90 billion in commissions, I think, in the last year. Look at all this money, and the vast majority of these agents can't even follow up with a client. This is right. We need to come in and completely disrupt these people. So I'm okay with that for half of the agents going out of the business. That would be great for the rest of us. Right. But we need to make sure that we're dialed in, that we are in that top 25%, that we have that hyper-local brand, and they'll never touch us. It'd be good. It would be nice to see some of the people who don't take this as an actual business and a profession go back to doing something else because it's so serious. What we do is so important.
Was there a discussion around agent branding were there any insights as to, what that really means? Like, I know that a lot of our agents will meet with their MA and they'll design a logo, and that's nice. But isn't a brand really something that is stickier than that? Like, I think of, like, even in my age, I don't want to age myself, but I think if we were in a room together and I said, Timex takes a licking and keeps on, choosy mothers choose. Like, some of these are the things, the stickiness that I don't see that we do with our branding, both at a corporate level, right? And at an agent level, because I think that's an opportunity. And did they talk about that at all, or what that looks like to create the brand?
Yeah, they gave I thought it hit me right between the eyes. I wrote it down. What are your 4 key words? What are the 4 words that describe you best, that you're about, that matter? That's your brand. I'm passionate about first-time home buyers. I work with veterans. I do only luxury, and it's about experience. And if you're not sure, here's another one of those great insights. Poll your clients. Send them out an easy 2 or 3 question questionnaire and just say, what did you like most about working with me? If you're going to describe me in 4 words, what would those words be? They'll tell you. They'll tell you who you are. That's a great start. And then everything that we do, you reinforce that brand. You never go off brand. You never put a clunker out there that's like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like someone who does luxury and only creates experience for people,
Right.
When keg stands on the beach.
Right.
That can't go out.
Yeah. Don't you think it's true too, that once you've figured that out, like you spent some time here, like, this is a really important conversation we're having, Sean, about Brandon's. I call it like a slogo. So you have your logo, your image, and then what your slogan is behind it, right? So like when I think of BMW, I think the ultimate driving machine. They have never changed that. Never. I mean, they're not changing their branding, and they're not changing their slogan. And I think that what I see a lot in our industry is agents they're constantly trying to, mess with things or critique things and changing their brand and their image. So it's not sticky. Like a great brand has to be sticky, something you identify with, right? So anyway, just my 2 cents there, because I love
that slogan, because you're right. It takes time for people to understand this is who you are. And the great advantage, and we don't think of it this way, is a lot of people won't relate to it.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic, right? Your vibe attracts your tribe. We just need the people who like working with us. I don't need all the business. I need a little tiny bit of the business that goes on.
Right.
I just want to work with people that I want to work with.
Amen. Yeah. I think we have a raised hand, but I was going to say before we get to that real quick, you think of the NFL, which my 2 teams lost this weekend. That brand, I think, has been updated no less than 10 times, and you'd never know it. So the subtleness in modernizing or creating a more modern logo is something that's really interesting too. So, but you can see that the NFL, like as a brand, they protect that shield with everything they got. And even when they modify it, you barely notice the difference. I think Lisa had her hand raised. Lisa, unmute if you have a question. I thought I saw someone raise a hand, but all right, well, maybe not. I thought I saw a hand.
Okay. Well, while we see what kind of questions we have, we have a secret weapon, and it was actually funny at the summit. Tom played a video clip from a movie that some of you will know well, and some of you will say, "What are you talking about?" But it's called The Karate Kid. How old is that movie? I don't know.
80s classic.
An 80s classic. There's a point at which the kid is at night riding his bike trying to get away from the bully group. And he almost gets away, but he gets to a fence. They catch him. They're starting to beat him up. And Mr. Miyagi jumps over the fence and defends him. You remember that scene?
Yep.
Early in the movie. Tom said, Google is your Mr. Miyagi. Google wants to save you from Zillow and Redfin and Quicken and all the rest. Google is Mr. Miyagi. Google doesn't want those people. They're huge. They're not local. Google wants to be known as the greatest research search engine there can be. When you put in a question, it wants to give you a very specific, very accurate answer. If it's about real estate, it much prefers you, the expert in Hillcrest, not Zillow that says, I don't know, we're nationwide, we use our own contracts. So they want to promote us. We have to give them the information and the data so they can do it. Here's the two things that got repeated over and over as an actual boots on the ground useful tools. Google my business page. Google my business page, Google my business page, Google my business page. That needs to be completely filled out. Every single aspect of it. You need to have well over 100 photos and videos on it. You need all your reviews there. That is going to be our Mr. Miyagi. And like something like 95% of all agents don't even have a Google My Business page. The other one, of course, is video, which you and I talk about a lot. Video is everything. Video a day, minimum of a video a day, which scares some people. But if you're creating a brand, if you want to be known, if you want to be sticky, like you're saying, well, you can't get that through writing.
No.
Matter of fact, one of the jokes was, I find this very unfortunate, but nobody reads anymore. It's all video. We need to be speaking in video all the time. And Google My Business page, you throw those videos up, you can geotag every property you've ever done, geotag every review you get, geotag your videos. You'll be able to say, oh, I understand this person. This is the area they work. This is what they do. This is how many other people say they do it well. This person I'm gonna give a result for when asked.
We at Coach's Corner on Friday, I challenged some of the folks there. I think it may have been the week before, so forgive me. But one of the challenges, and one of my agents took me up on this, and I see agents starting to do this, is I think to be really effective on video, as opposed to just doing a vote up, hey, do you like this design? Do you like that design? And that's good, but there's no call to action there. And there's really nothing that's really building a relationship when you're doing those sorts of things. And everyone else is doing that. But I challenge my team and say, look, when you do a video, what I think would be really interesting is for you to tell your story, make it autobiographical about your life in a home. So the next time you decide to go buy the home you grew up in, get in front of it and tell your story. Don't just say, hey, I grew up here, but go on video and say, you know, I've been doing this business for 33 years, this little home that I'm standing, and I did this when I was back in Detroit. So I kind of role play just for a second. You know, what I remember most about this home is my first Christmas that I can remember, my father making it so special that he took snow boots, and made imprints in the ashes in the fireplace. And I swear, I believed in Santa Claus till 4th grade because of that. And so it's so funny that and that's true, by the way. My 4th grade teacher had to call my mom and say, hey, you need to tell Steve, he's getting into fights with kids. He still believes in Santa. So anyway, but if you tell those kind of stories and you open yourself up, just open yourself up to people, this is what they will start to follow in you, not this other stuff. I really believe that. I really do. And if you tell your story about your career in real estate and the things you've learned, I think people will find that interesting and will actually tune into that more so than now. If everybody is doing vote up, vote down, when you go to Instagram, you're just scrolling through that stuff. Am I right, people on the call? I mean, do you not see that with all your colleagues? Do you not do the same thing? Anyway, so just weighing in on that. So to use video in that way, I think don't just do video. Connect with people. Put yourself out there. You know, open yourself up is my tip.
The 100%. The term that I'm using now, and I heard, be unapologetically you.
Yeah.
People want to know you, and they want to work with people they know and like and trust. And we have this amazing tool now in video to do that. And speaking of video, Melanie asked a great question on the Google business page. Is there any cost? There is zero cost to Google business page. You go in, you claim it, and you start filling it out. It's there for you to use immediately. Also, Steve, she mentioned that going back just for a second to the retreat, the all-team meeting will be streamed for anyone who isn't attending.
Awesome.
But the other sessions, those won't be available virtually.
Got it.
So
Good
we
to
can
know.
do the all-team meeting.
Good to know.
The video we just have to get used to. And we got to just do with our phone. I mean, it's just not, we're not talking about a videographer walking around with you all day. And these are just short videos that go everywhere. They go TikTok. I finally have a TikTok account. I don't even know what the hell it is, but I know I had to get one. You know, we have Reels and Stories and Instagram and Facebook, and they need to be everywhere. People need to see you all the time. There's a funny story that goes with this, a short story, Steve. When I first moved back home here to San Diego, I was doing real estate, and I was starting to do a lot of home flipping with my brother-in-law. So we gave ourselves a name so that if people wanted to hire us to do stuff, we could still do that as well. He had a white Ford pickup, and I had a white Ford pickup, and we each put, you know, the magnet sign on the door. Within about 3 months, I had people calling me, friends calling me, saying, "Man, you guys have grown so fast. I see your trucks everywhere. How many people do you have now?"
With 2 trucks.
2 trucks. They just have to see it frequently enough that it appears.
Right.
That's why we put out 40 signs for an open house.
Yeah.
I see you everywhere.
That's such a great point, Sean. So real quick. So my first year in real estate, I ended up getting, and I'll spare you the gory details, but within 1 year, I ended up taking 2 listings that were 2 streets apart. I went on vacation I went on a long weekend, had someone covering my business. Someone called in, wanted to talk about listing their home, left a message with the agent that I had covering my business. And this person said, "No, I really want to talk to Steve. He lists everything in here."
There it is. It doesn't take long, and people don't.
It's not much.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not much, right? I mean, to your point, though, it doesn't take much. You know, you just, yeah.
Hey, Sean.
Yes.
Sorry. I was just going to talk to you about your stories for a second about the video, because while I think that is an amazing way to start creating your brand with all those little day-to-day insights and the stories that you have, I think it's also something to remember. You can take those videos that you're making, and then you can send those individually to some of those people in that, maybe in that neighborhood, or some people that are, you know, if you have them tagged in your CRM, and then they're looking like a very individual message, like, "Hey, Sean, I was in Mount Helix today, and I saw something happen, you know, and I thought you might be interested to know." Now you're creating those relationship pieces that are also showing you the expert.
Right. I agree with that wholeheartedly, but I'm going to throw a fastball at you, Melanie.
Sure. What's up?
If we only had a tool that would let us put a short video right into an email.
Oh my gosh, what if we had one? Yeah. What would you? So what if we had this video tool that you could speak directly to your clients, send it out in a quick message, because as you are right, people don't read anymore. And now it looks personal. They hear your voice, they hear your inflection, your personality, and they know you're thinking about them. So love it.
That's it. And that's one of the things that I love about Compass is they're ahead of all this. Up until recently, if you wanted to do that phenomenal idea of sending the video out personally, you had to buy BombBomb, which was a pretty expensive app to have to allow you to send a real video in an email.
Right.
Compass has had this in the works for I don't know how long. It just came out of beta testing. It's now available to all of us. Don't need to buy BombBomb. Have it right here already in our tools. That's awesome.
Sure is.
Paul Spallone asked, what should be done about business address? For instance, can you have multiple agents using the Mission Valley address on Google My Business? Yes. Use the address that represents you. And it's okay that there's multiple people using that address. They're going to pinpoint you by all the geotagging you do and all the things that you call out. The address is just, they want your profile fully filled. They're more likely to engage you and lift you up in that. But they're not pinpointing you just by address.
So Sean, in the last 5 minutes we have, I got 2 questions that I'd like you to address.
Jesus was fast enough.
What was your biggest aha, like that everyone should know? And then what was the one thing you learned that everyone should be really concerned about? I mean, I think you led into it a little bit with the competition that's coming from the outside. Maybe you could dig a little deeper there if that's the biggest thing that you learned that was concerning about what the threat is. But could you talk about, like, man, this is the greatest idea, or everyone should be doing it, and then what's the biggest threat that we should all be concerned about and paying attention to? Like, if you could close on that, I think would be positive.
So I think the biggest aha was, one was that I think it was 62% of people's decisions on whether or not to work with you was made before they ever meet you. Everybody's doing their research now, and they're looking online at you. That's unbelievable to me. The majority of the decision was made before I even had a chance to talk to them. We need to have that online presence that is unapologetically us.
Yeah.
And this is tied with another one that was just a kind of a throw-off line, but I thought, wow. Tom was up there and he said, you are vastly understaffed for the size of your ideas. To all of us. We all hesitate to pull that trigger on getting an admin, getting a social media manager. You are understaffed for the size of the ideas you have. You need to pull the trigger. And so that leads to the final one when you said, what's the one thing we should all be doing? The term that he's using a lot that we're using is HABU, highest and best use, right? HABU. As an agent with hopefully really large goals, and we need to remind people of that, the regional sales meeting, there's only 5 things that you should be doing. Number 1 is setting appointments. Number 2 is going on appointments. Number 3 is managing the business that comes from those appointments. Number 4 is creating content, which is what all of this we've been talking about is. And number 5 is loving on the people who are taking care of you, making sure that your top referrers, your top clients are feeling the love all the time. Everything else should be handed off. Everything else needs to be given away to someone else who you're paying whatever per hour versus the $2,000 or $3,000 an hour you're worth when you're doing those 5 things.
But that is spot on. I 1,000% agree. 1,000% agree with everything there. I mean, that is so people hire people.
Right.
The sooner we understand that and really embrace that, that's why it's so important. Everything you're talking about today is about you, those on the call, you as an individual, and with the people you work with, making sure that when people, and by the way, going back to what you said about people are researching, Sean, if you guys don't have a LinkedIn account, you should, because I do. And okay, now I'm not selling real estate, but I will tell you that because I have a business profile with my education, my background, LinkedIn will say this guy might be a good fit if you're looking to hire someone for this role. Every week I get so many people, it'll tell me how many people are reviewing my profile, and I'd say roughly 40% of them aren't from real estate. So there are other organizations trying to see who can we, and they're searching and they use that. So LinkedIn is an absolute must, and it'll give you that insight to your point of how people are doing their research. So you don't get that necessarily from Instagram and Facebook, I don't think.
No.
Steve, the last week I was doing a business meeting and one of my agents was asking to hire a second assistant, and she said, I just don't know where to find someone. Should I just do an Indeed ad? And I said, why don't you do a LinkedIn request and send out a request to your clients and say, my business is growing. I'm looking for someone. They know people that know you and the kind of business you're running. And that's just better than a blind ad.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a great idea. We need that help, and we need to do our branding, right? And we need to stay on message. People, and here's the sad part. When you look at most outside agents, and again, I think Compass agents are the exception, they're basically saying 3 things over and over and over. Use me, move now, look, I did it again. Use me, you should move, look, I did it again. Go, if you want to see great advertising, go look at Zillow. Go look at the Quicken. Go look at, because those people have the money and they understand that the message is not about me. The message is about our clients. How can I simplify this for you? You are so important. You need to know this. We got to make sure that we're conveying us in a benefit to them.
Perfect. Love it.
Before we run out of time, real quick, I want to remind everybody our regional sales meeting is this Thursday. What time? I think 9:30. Is that right?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, we're going to be doing the first part of the business plan. the numbers part that we can do universally. So if you're planning, well, hopefully it's not even a question, you're going to do a business plan. If you're going to be meeting with your sales manager or a coach or somebody, this is the part that you need first. What are my numbers? We're going to send out the worksheet, and we're going to do that live in person right then and there. So let everybody in your different offices know to be on that call and walk away with your numbers already done, the biggest part of your business plan complete.
Right. That way, when they meet with you and I, or Melanie, Liz, whomever, that they are working on tactic and strategy, which is okay.
Right.
How do I make that happen, right?
The personal parts that now are individual to the agent.
That's right.
Yeah.
Really great insights, Sean. I mean, I appreciate you sharing. I think we should also let everyone know this Friday I'm taking a day off to spend with family because we're going to take my daughter up to get a new puppy up in Central Valley, California. So Coach's Corner, Sean's going to sit in for me. So really excited about that. So Sean will be in Cardiff on Friday morning to host Coach's Corner. I was telling Sean, we had 18 people at our last session, which is really, really strong. And so keep an eye out for that. If you want to get some one-on-one time in person, Cardiff can handle that. And we're looking forward to having you, Sean. Thank you for doing that for me. I appreciate it, buddy.
My pleasure. I just got to go find really, really big shoes so I can fill yours.
I think we're all good. We're all good.